Dear children, today I am going to teach you lesson 6, chapter 6. This is Jody's Fawn, part 3rd. Part 3rd book is that is Honeydew. This lesson is from Honeydew, and the lesson is this is Jody's Fawn and part third of this lesson. As I told you in the first part, how Jody's father was bitten by rattlesnake. He killed a deer and also used its heart and liver, and he was cured. That is, next his son Judy was very conscious. He was very worried about the fawn. That is, it was left. That is careless. Nobody was there to care this fawn. Why? Because its mother was killed by those father. In this part, just Jody was sent by his father and mother also to bring back the fawn. Jody with Millville went there in the forest where the fawn was, and they are searching. In this part, we are going to learn where Jody found fawn, dear baby, where he found there, and what happened then. Hooked directly in front of startled him so that he tumbled backward, when all of a sudden, during he was searching fawn where it was in the forest, just all of a sudden Jody saw, that is, fawn was lying there on the ground in the forest. And then when he saw the scene of fawn, he, that is, moved back, थोड़ा पीछे हट गया उसे देखकर. The fawn lifted its face to his, then the fawn lifted its face, अपना चेहरा ऊपर उठाया, and then it turned its head with this wide wandering motion and shook him through. It was shivering. The fawn was shivering on the ground. Why? Because it was that is lying there helpless, and its eyes, liquid was there in his eyes. Fawn की आंखों में आंसू थे. And it was quivering, it was shaking, quivering, कांप रहा था. And it made no effort to rise or run, did not try to run away from there. When he saw Jody को देखकर भागने का प्रयास नहीं किया. Neither it rose, न उठा, न भागने का प्रयास किया. Jody could not trust himself to move. He whispered, "It is me," just he whispered. He spoke slowly. Jody spoke slowly, that it is me, मैं हूँ. I have come to save you. Then the fawn lifted its nose and scenting him, and he reached out one hand, and just he put his hand and also stroked, सहलाया और उसे पकड़ा, close beside him, and put his arms around its body. Jody puts its arms, भुजाओं को उसके बगल में रखा, and tried to took it in its arms, body, and a light convulsion and shivering was there, passed over it. It did not stir. He stroked its sides gently, very smoothly stroked its side, that is the fawn. And the fawn were a china deer, just it was touching. Jody touched fawn just like it was a china deer. China deer, that is a clay deer. And just its skin was very soft when Jody saw, when he touched its body, soft. It was very soft. It was sleek and clean, soft, and had a sweet scent of grass. He rose slowly and lifted fawn from the ground. Jody lifted the fawn in his arms. हाथों में उसे उठा लिया. And then he ground, and legs hung limply. Its leg was लड़खड़ा रहा था. That is, उसके पैर लड़खड़ा रहे थे. They were surprisingly long, and he had to hoist the fawn as high as it took. That is, lifted the fawn in his arms as high as it was possible. It was afraid that it might kick or bleed. Just it was fear in his mind, Jody's mind. ये डर था कहीं ये, that is make a sound, meow की आवाज़ करे. But smell of its mother, he skirted the clearing, and just he cleared the bush, झाड़ी को साफ किया जंगल में. And then he went ahead, आगे बढ़ा. pushed into the skirted and was difficult to fight through with its burden. Just he was holding in his arms, अपनी भुजाओं में उस बच्चे को पकड़ा था, फॉन को पकड़ा था, एंड ही वाज ट्राइंग टू गो अहेड, आगे जाने का प्रयास कर रहा था. वेयर देयर वर बुशेज, झाड़ी थे उसमें. His own with freedom, he tried to shield its face from pricking vines. Just he was also trying to save himself from the prickles of pricking vines. वहाँ लगते हुए थे, उससे बचने के लिए कांटे भी थे. Its head bobbed with its stride. His heart thumped with the marvel of its acceptance of him. Just he was very happy. Judy was very happy. Why? Because Fawn had accepted him as a friend, as a near. He reached the thrill and walked as fast as he could, and he walked from there. Judy walked from there, holding in his arms the fawn. फान को हाथों में लिए हुए जितना तेजी से हो सका आगे बढ़ा. And just sat down on its dangling leg. He quivered on them. It looked at him and bleated. Just when Jody put it on the ground, it started bleating. कुछ बोलने लगा. He said, enchanted. He said, I will carry you after I get my breath, after taking some rest. Just he said, after taking some rest, he will carry it. Just he intended. He spoke slowly. And he remembered his father saying that a fawn would follow if it had first been carried. Just it came in his mind. Just he remembered his father's words. His father said that if someone carried it, अगर fawn को कहीं carry किया जाए, तो he will follow it. उस रास्ते को follow करता है. Just and after him he came back to it and stroked it. He stroked again. उसको सहलाया, stroked it and walked away again. And he took a few wobbling steps. Just it with wobbling step लड़खड़ाते हुए आगे बढ़ा. And it followed Jody. Jody को पीछे पीछे चल दिया. It belonged to him and it was his own, and that he was light-headed, and able to think clearly. That is, he said, with his joy, full of joy. Jody was full of joy. He wanted to fondle it. He wanted to love it. He wanted to run with it and wanted to play with it, with fawn. फान के साथ खेलना चाहता था, उसे प्यार करना चाहता था. And to call it to come to him, and he also called fawn to come after him. उसके पास आने के लिए कहा पीछे पीछे. He dared not alarm it. He did not frighten fawn. नहीं, डराने का प्रयास नहीं किया. Did not frighten it. He picked it up and carried it on in front of him over his 2 arms, taking fawn in his 2 arms. हाथ में लिए हुए भुजाओं में आगे बढ़ा. It seemed to him that it was walked about apart. The arms began to ache after going some time. That is, his arms were ache, दर्द करने लगे, and was forced to stop again. Again he stopped there. Again he stopped. Why? Because he was tired. थका हुआ था. When he walked on, fawn followed him. When Jody walked on, that is, fawn followed him. Fawn उसके पीछे पीछे आया. Of the ones, and he allowed him to walk a little distance. He walked a little distance. Fawn walked a little distance. Then picked up again. Again Jody picked up in his arms. उस भुजाओं में उठा लिया. And also he was what? Sweet, but sweet was there. Sweet पसीना. He was tired. थका भी था चलते चलते. And a breeze blew, and all of a sudden a breeze blew. ठंडी हवा बही in the morning, and he relaxed himself. The sky was as clear as spring water in the blue. Just sky was clear, and he came to the clearing, just open space. He came open space, and then he had an idea. Just an idea came in his mind. He would walk into the house, into Penny's bedroom. An idea was there in his mind, and he walked into Penny's house. Penny के bedroom में पहुंचा. With the fawn walking behind him, and fawn was walking behind him. Fawn उसके पीछे आ रहा था. ये उसके bedroom में पहुंचा. But at the steps, the steps were ladder, सीढ़ी. जहाँ steps थे, सीढ़ी चढ़ना था, वहाँ fawn stopped. He did not climb. वो नहीं चला. And begged and refused to climb them. He refused to climb on the steps. He picked up and went to his father. Fanny lay closed eyes. Just his father was lying, closing eyes, आंखें बंद करके सोए हुए थे. He reached there. Jody reached to his father, and he called, "Pa, father." Pa, that is father. Penny turned his head, and Jody stood beside him. Jody was standing beside him. Jody उनके बगल में खड़ा था. and the fawn clutched hard against him. और fawn भी उसको पकड़े हुए था. It seemed to Fanny that his boy's eyes were as bright as the fawn's. Jody's eyes and fawn's eyes both were bright. दोनों की आंखें चमक रही थी. Both were happy. Jody and fawn both were happy. He said, I'm glad you found it. Just his father said that he was glad that Judy had found the fawn. उसने पा लिया था fawn को. That's why he was happy. His father was happy. Judy then went to the kitchen and he found there some milk was there in the kitchen. Judy went into kitchen and some milk was there, and he brought it and tried to make it drink. And just the kitchen and into a jug, he poured milk into the small gourd. He poured the milk from the jug से एक कटोरे में दूध को गिरा दिया. He put milk in a bowl, कटोरे में, जग से कटोरे में रखा. And then in the gourd, he dipped its fingers in the milk. Just Jody dipped his fingers, उंगलियों को milk में डुबो दिया. Dipped fingers into bowl where milk was there, into milk, and then thrust them into the fawn's soft wet mouth, and then dipping his fingers in the milk, he put it in fawn's mouth. And he did it again and again. He revised it. He repeated it again and again. That is, he dipped his fingers into milk and then into his mouth, fawn's mouth, then slowly into the milk, and the fawn blew and then sucked and snorted. Fawn sucked its fingers where milk was there, and it stamped on this hoof impatiently as long as he held the fingers below the level of the milk, as long as milk was possible. That is, he dipped his fingers again and again, and it drank milk. The fawn was content, that is, satisfied over. He closed his eyes, then dreamily he closed his, after drinking milk, the fawn closed his eyes, अपनी आंखें बंद कर लिया. He was ecstatic to feel its tongue against his hand, his small tail flipped back and forth. Just it was the movement of the fawn, and the last of the milk vanished in a swirl of foam and gurgling, a kind of sound, एक प्रकार की आवाज के साथ उसने जो last quantity of milk it drank, अंतिम जो part था milk का वो पी लिया. Just we see this is the last portion of this lesson. Just we see how